Greetings, everyone. This is Rock and Roll Spot Connection with the Weekly Comic Wrap. We're a bit of the way through already, so let's get started kicking things off. We've got Ghost Rider number 17, continuing the Weapons of Vengeance crossover with Wolverine. Where we left off, Wolverine and Blaze had converged on a rather grisly murder scene. Basically, a spire of corpses, not a tall, not a, like, just the height of like a normal, the floor to ceiling height of a normal house, basically, which appears to be linked to a young child named Bram that Wolverine encountered in his early in his time with the X-Men. It was also shown that a social worker that was handling Bram thought that perhaps Bram was a mutant, bringing him to Xavier's school, but Xavier confirmed that Bram is not a mutant. Back at the orphanage, and basically Xavier said he was going to pass along Bram's info to an more than likely Doctor Strange. Bram ended up killing the other orphans, or well, I don't know if it's Bram, but the other orphans of the orphanage were killed later, and social worker basically just ended up taking Bram in on her as her own. So we started in Massachusetts at a ball game. Guy gets in, ends up killing a mutant in the bathroom. Elsewhere, Wolverine and Ghost Rider make it to Greenwalk campsites in Maine, where a spire of mutant corpses has been made. However, Wolverine and Blaze realize that they're kind of on the back foot. They're finding these after the fact. But they have gotten base outfits that can cause them to allow them to blend in with law enforcement when they arrive in Boston, where not so much a spire, but the dead mutant's body has been displayed in a manner that definitely took time and effort. A sample taken to Jeff Bannister. Blaze gives Bannister some advice on looking into things, but Ghost Rider decides he wants to come out, though Blaze is fighting it. We see some more of the first fight between Blaze and Ghost Rider, with the two of them realizing that they're on the same side. In the present, Blaze and Wolverine go to the orphanage that Bram was raised in. It's no longer an orphanage, but they ask for information. While Wolverine is negotiating with the guy running the building about getting some info, Blaze discovers a locked door with the riders convincing him to open the door. Blaze does and finds a young child inside with what looks in part similar to a Iron Maiden open around him. This sets Ghost Rider off, and Wolverine tells the owner of the place, that if he thought Wolverine's temper was bad, well, he ain't seen nothing. And Wolverine has to be the voice of reason, saying, hey, maybe, chill out. We did come here for intel, which Ghost Rider gets via the pen stare. Turns out that information gleaned from the pen stare can be passed along, though it's not exactly an easy thing to do. Logan suggests that next time, just, tell him. But, the files that they were looking for were removed by a man working for the government. Federal warrant. An agency based in some place they're both familiar with. Devil's Backbone, Utah, which houses the Weapon Plus Hellfire program. That is where the issue ends. I'm enjoying this crossover, and to be fair, it's something I've been looking forward to for a while. I do enjoy when we get crossovers written by a writer that's writing both books, and so none of the characters feel jarringly out of character because of a writer who's not familiar with them working on them. Also, it was nice to see Bannister, and we did get there was some acknowledgement of the Hellfire Gala, though overall this is a story not connected to Fall of X. Though, yeah, I think the last issue of Ghost Rider did show that Orchis is involved with in the whole thing. Moving on, though, to our next book, we have X-Men Days of Future Past Doomsday, number 2. Where we left off in this prequel of sorts to Days of Future Past, basically showing the timeline. Magneto and the Brotherhood attempted to take the world's nuclear arsenal. Cyclops, Shadowcat, and Phoenix went to stop him, or went to stop a bomber which was being piloted by Mastermind. And though some of the bombs had been activated, and Jean tried to stop the explosion and stop and contain the explosion, but couldn't, leading to Scott's eyes being literally burned out of his skull by the radiation, and Jean's death, as well as Mastermind's. So we see an interview with presumably an employment interview between Mr. Roderick Rory Campbell and Henry Peter Gyrick. Campbell lost his leg on Muir Island while working with a mutant. With Gyrick basically calling him Ahab. And yeah, it's the character Ahab from the X-Men character Ahab. So, Jean's funeral happens. It's stated that sadly, because of what's happened to Cyclops, his tear ducts are gone too. He can't cry at his wife's funeral. Magneto shows up. Pulls a plastic gun with high-density polymer bullets. But Charles and Scott stop him from shooting Magneto. Magneto came to apologize, and it's suggested that they band together, but it seems that, Xavier suggests banding together. the X-Men and remaining members of Brotherhood banding together, but, well, to be... in another moment of, when Magneto was right, well, Xavier's touch is not exactly the best touch. There are mutant relocation centers that are built. Mutant Control Act is once again passed through, but this time the Supreme Court didn't even grant Ceratari, so it was explained as being basically legalese for you're on your own. Many mutants and their families fled to Canada, but most stayed in America, under the mistaken belief that things would eventually get better. Gyrick basically shows up at Xavier's to say, "Hey, yeah, we will be bringing you and your so-called students in." But Xavier tries to say, "Hey, look, you can try it, but we got some powerful people here. It's not going to end well for you." Veiled threats. Val Cooper and Gyrick speak with General Thunderbolt Ross, who states that attacking Xavier's school is an immoral order, and one that he will not follow, and he's thus relieved of command. But at the time the attack on the school happens, most of the X-Men are on Muir Island. Nightcrawler, Amanda Sefton, and Ileana Rasputin are simply shot dead by government operatives while the school isn't attacked. Karma's killed while her and Rachel are trying to escape. Iceman's crushed and presumably also vaporized. Xavier tries to tell the soldiers that they surrender, with Nuke being among those attacking. Xavier's killed. It appears Rachel's knocked out, though Ahab has plans for that one. The X-Men return to find the mansion burning. The New Mutants had been sent down to the Danger Room, but that didn't save them. Nightcrawler, Amanda, and Ileana are found. The dead are buried alongside Jean, and the remains of the mansion collapse. Kitty suggests basically convinces Peter to marry her. And with all of the horror going on, there's at least a moment of happiness. And that is where the issue ends. This is definitely a rough read, especially with what's going on in the X-Men, and certain to a point, and really kind of just showing potential real-world parallels. So, moving on though to our next book, we've got Groot number 4, wrapping up the miniseries. Where we left off, acting Star Force Captain Marvel was in the clutches of the leader of the spoilers, the corrupted Flora Colossus known as Ags. The Star Force fleet is hit with a massive psychoenergetic pulse. Marvel Ags is attempting to get Marvel to turn over Star Force security codes and whatnot, but he refuses. Manages to get off with some energy blasts at him, but his suit's running low on power, and while he manages to rescue Tweak and Gleef, they don't get far before the rest of the spoilers catch up with them. However, Yondar shows up to help, along with Groot. And Yondar and Marvel hold off the advancing Star Force when an orbital bombardment occurs. The Star Force has arrived and bring down the spoilers. Yondar and Yon Rog have an argument about future of Planet X, with Yondar stating that the planet needs to be left alone to heal. And Marvel points out that Yondar's right. As it was emergency action, it does not constitute formal first contact, meaning that Star Force has a duty to leave the world untouched so it can evolve on its own terms. Yondar adds that the awakened trees of the planet will protect their world with a canopy of silence so that they can never be found or disturbed. And Yon Rog states that Planet X will be listed as a preserved world. Details of the location and incident will be expunged from the general record. Marvel says goodbye to Groot, Tweak, and Gleef. And apparently, in the years to come, Groot, Tweak, and Gleef tell the young saplings tales of adventure, and that how sometimes one has to be a protector or a guardian, even if it means risking your own life. And that is where the series ends. This was a cute series. It was fun too. I liked it. I really dug it. I do appreciate tales like this set, in earlier period basically, kind of stories that flesh things out, that maybe maybe it was stuff that was never even hinted at, like Marvel and Groot working together when Groot was but a sapling. It's still nice because it adds, it can add context even to older stories, which is always a good thing. Moving on though to our last book for the moment, we've got Loki number 3. Where we left off, well, Loki was still trying to find the pieces of the ship he made. It was stolen. But we open with a tale from the Kree Skrull War. Komir. Komir was the guardian of the planet Kaba which bordered Skrull space. Again and again he beat back the Skrulls, until eventually they formed a great invasion force to destroy him. Komir had psychic powers. And upon seeing this invasion force, Komir fled, leaving the people to be slaughtered. And so goes the story of Komir the Coward. Loki is on Kaba, which is in the midst of the festival remembering Komir, wherein people burn an effigy of Komir the Coward. But while talking with Emperor Hulkling and the Royal Sorcerer Wiccan, Loki suggests that Wiccan look at Kava's sun, which is apparently an artificial sun that arrived, basically giving Kava its own climate. Komir is stuck in that sun. Been there for thousands of years. Before fleeing, basically, the chunk of the pieces of Negalflar were able to, because hitting the World Tree. Well, one may seem to have slipped under the current of the present and ended up in the past. Komir found it, realized it was a great weapon, but detonating it would destroy his entire world, so he tried to get rid of it, throwing it far away, but he couldn't throw it far enough, so he went to push it further away, where it became a sun that still holds him in place. And seemingly keeps him alive. Wiccan tries to figure out how to, what to do about it, basically, but Loki's already taken care of it, having retrieved the piece of the ship. And also given Komir the release of death. But, things will go cold on Kava, and, well, perhaps the people won't like Billy and Teddy as much as they once did, especially since they had to tell them what's happened, even if they, gloss over the details. And Loki learns that the last piece of the ship is on Midgard. We once again catch up with Muck Mulligan, trying to sell his mysterious weapon. Everyone who looks upon it, though, bleeds from their eye, bleeding from the eyes and doing all sorts of terrible screaming. But Muck Mulligan is tenacious, and so he's found something. But the weapon doesn't have any effect on him. Say that he's often been told he doesn't have much in the way of a soul. He's never had anything to love or care about. Maybe something to do with that. But when he heard that this person broke out of prison, well, that's someone who might get it. He might understand it. It might not start bleeding from the eyes, bleeding from his eyes, and screaming and terribly screaming upon looking at the weapon. So Muck was asked what he wants for it. Thought he wanted money, but now he just wants to see if this person can handle it, and what he'll do with it. Who is this mysterious person? Bullseye. The weapon? It's a book called simply The Truth. Which Bullseye is able to read just fine. No bleeding from the eyes, no screaming. And so but it apparently tells him. The book tells Bullseye that it and Bullseye are going to tear the world a new asshole. And that is where the issue ends. This is the next to last issue, but yeah, Bullseye. The description seems pretty spot on, honestly. Overall, it's a good issue. I like the one thing I do appreciate with the with everything that's happened when it comes to the Kree Skull Alliance in recent years is that rather than having doing this honest unrealistic, oh yes, everyone loves Billy and Teddy are beloved, and there are no problems, everything's fine, and any problems are swiftly put down, are swiftly taken care of, is that Billy and Teddy are having to learn that, yeah, leading, especially ruling, not leading, ruling, isn't all. It's not always great, Sometimes sometimes you gotta eat a mouthful of shit. But a lot of times, especially when you try and be, good about it. Well, sure, sometimes you eat a bucket of shit, but when you do right, hey, everyone's happy for you about that. So usually at least. But sometimes even then, you do something right, and you still have to eat a bucket of shit. Anyways, that's going to do it for now. As always, feel free to like, share, and subscribe. Big shout out to Patreon patron Xander Lee. Thank you so much for your support. Links to my Facebook, Twitter, Mastodon, Patreon, and PayPal can be found in the description box down below. This is Rock and Roll Spock signing off saying, live long and rock hard.